I kind of like what you said at the end about not feeling like you have to educate white people, because I've definitely gotten into arguments with people who I'm always like, black people need to be selfish, and and that we need to focus on ourselves and each other, because there's a lot that like we have to work on and that like we are working through. But then it almost looks like, well, if I say that I'm like hating white people, it's like, I'm not hating y'all. I just think we need to redirect our energy and our attention back to like us, and not feel like we are obligated to educate white people on our experiences. It's like, it's not my job. I don't think that's and I don't think that any of us should put that responsibility on our like, especially just as black women. Like, black women have always been at the forefront of everything, and we're always expected to be everything for everyone, but no one would even show half the same amount of energy towards us. And it's like as a black woman in this 21st century, I'm gonna be very selfish. Like, I feel like we're always extending ourselves. We shouldn't stress ourselves out by trying to feel like we have to educate everyone and be there for everyone. It's like, no, like, we need to be selfish.
Also because there's a lot of people profiting from our trauma, from all the trauma we put out there. Like, they finna get their bag, so
they find a way.
we need to like think about our, like, where does our information circulate and who does it benefit? Is it really benefiting the black people reposting your stuff, or is it just like giving it ideas to these white women in art
for a new startup somewhere?
Right.
And also being mindful that like a lot of the times we're selling each other down the river, which is like really disheartening, but a reality nonetheless. And I feel like I have this thing like I call like, not everyone fits into. Most people are like a conglomeration of like 2 or 3, but there's the hood, the hotep, and the intellectual.
I like that. I love that. It's all about the balance.
It's all about the balance, and I love the number 3. So
you can be a little hotep.
Yeah.
You can be a little hotep. It's not too much.
Not too much.
I fuck with the hoteps. I do.
I know. I don't know why.
I don't, you know. I think the way how I'm understanding it too is like, I got like, there's someone's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be saying that, like, you fuck with them, because it's mostly misogynistic, right? Men who are like,
peace queen.
Yeah.
Peace queen. Yeah.
Yes.
Empress.
Great Raja.
But I'm like, for me, it's like anyone who has an alternative consciousness
to
their black identity through using, like, you know, alternative science, spirituality, like all of those things. So I'm kind of being funny when I'm saying it. But I think that like those understandings and like those different worlds, instead of us trying to fuse what we know everyone is looking at the hood for, none of us are protecting it. And the intellectuals a lot of the time like to isolate themselves on like, I made my money, I went to Harvard, I'm out, you know? And, you know, the hotep is kind of like the mediator of some sorts, but very much feeding into this, like, it can get into dangerous cycles and like holes, and like you essentially become the same colonized, no, this way, that way. And I think that, you know, when we start to understand the symmetries rather than the differences, and the, you know, the middle ground versus the different paths, but paying respect to all those different paths, like, you know, I forget what I was going with this, but I think like, you know, your understanding of like us not selling each other down the river, and like trying to be more cooperative, you know, because I've been in so many circles where it's like not us ripping each other down and apart, you know, but it has to be more of that, you know, people coming back, people actually caring about coming back, people actually caring about getting out, you know,
and not being afraid of like being exclusive. Because I think sometimes like when black people talk about like exclusivity, sometimes other black people will be like, oh, but you're trying to be like the colonizer, or you're trying to be like those that oppressed you. And it's like, no, like I just recognize that there's something here that we kind of need to focus on. It has nothing to do with me trying to like repeat cycles that have been perpetuated on my ancestors. It's more like, no, like there's something here that I think we need. I'm not trying to repeat or be like, you know, because I think sometimes when I do talk about like being exclusive, I've met other black people who then look at me like, well, we need to be on this, we all need to love each other, and we all, it's because it's peace, and because we need, and it's like, bro, like, that racism is like an institution. I don't know if you know that, but like me loving my white neighbor that lives downstairs, whom I think is a really nice person, is like not going to eradicate systems of oppression, but thank you for telling me that I just need to like love and we can just like overcome. But it's not that simple.
It would have been done
a long time ago.
It was that simple.
If it was, yeah. I think also too because, and I heard someone else say this too, oftentimes it's like Black people are often told to just forgive. And sometimes I've seen people do that in the name of like religion. Like I wasn't raised Christian, but like in the name of Jesus or in the name of whomever, just forgive. And it's like, well then what does that look like if we forgive? Or like, you know, you're talking about how you went back to Cuba and you kind of just like saw like all of those things that like made up your identity and made you who you were, and just like, okay, I'm accepting this for what it is because that's what made me who I am today. But it's also this idea of like, well, I just forgive and forget and it's whatever. It's like, no, like I'm here, but there are certain like, you know, disparities. There are certain things that like we have to still like work through, and it's not just about forgiving and moving on to the next.
You can't forgive something that's going on right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You have to let it finish. And for that, we have to come together and actually get some work done.
Yeah, and heal. I like that too. So I did want to ask you guys too, how has your relationship with your hair and body helped shape your identity? So I'm looking at you guys, and you guys are all natural. You know, it's cool. But like, how has that helped?
Okay, so my mom used to take me to the salon every weekend to get my hair straightened. Lava y peinado by Dominicans. It was cool, but they would call my hair nappy. Like, they would tell me, your hair is mad nappy. Stop adding water to it. You're gonna keep ruining your washing set if you keep like wetting it or whatever. And my mom would tell them like, she's always wetting her hair. She's trying to go natural. And they would be like, no, you can't do that because then we're gonna have to perm your hair. And then one time when I was like in elementary school, my mom permed my hair, and my sister was like, that was the worst thing your mom could have ever done to your hair. And I never understood what she meant. But then I realized like, it's because it changed the whole texture of my hair. And even to get it natural now, like it took me a while. I had to like cut my hair like, multiple times in order to get it to even curl up. And like my sister used to always do cornrows in my hair and like natural hairstyles, but like my mom didn't think that was like really cute, or like she didn't think that it would be cute to go to church in cornrows or like go to a family event in like braided hair. Like it wouldn't be attractive. So she'll straighten my hair for me and everything, and I'll go to the salon. Long story short, I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that my hair would always be smelling like blow dryer or like burnt ends, and then they had to do so much treatment to it. So I ended up just becoming natural and like accepting my hair for what it was. And even within that process, like I went through a lot trying to understand it, because there weren't like, I wasn't looking at YouTube videos back then to find out how to do this stuff. Like I would literally just wash my hair and go outside. And like it was like relaxed straight hair but wet, kind of curly, and it was crazy. But I didn't care, so I was just like, whatever, I'm just washing my hair, because like people usually just go in the shower and come out and their hair is fine, so I'm gonna do the same thing. And then like one time my mom ended up I was in middle school, and she put my hair in like those like 2-strand twists with the bobbles at the end, and I'm in middle school, so I'm like, what the like, oh my god. She was like, nah, I'm not letting you go outside like this no more. You're not gonna be doing this to your hair. I'm gonna take care of your hair from now on. And like she did that to me, and it really messed me up. Like I was like, yo. So I ended up just like, don't touch my hair no more. I'm gonna do it myself. And then I ended up like chopping it up a little bit, and then like over time it became more like tangible, because I started learning how to like take care of it. I started like, you know, like playing around with my actual hair and understanding it, instead of taking advice from people that didn't have hair like mine, or like didn't even understand what it felt like to have natural hair. Right. They were just so into like straightening their hair or like getting weaves. Yeah. So it took a long time. Like everybody was calling me ugly, crazy. Like, what is that? A moppo on your head, a Brillo pad. I'm like, it took a long time for this to work. Yeah. And I did this last night. It took me 3 hours. Like, it took a long time to enjoy my hair. And like body wise, like my skin, okay. I I used to hang around a lot of light-skinned girls from different, like, Latin countries. And they would, like, tell me, like, oh, you know, lemon wash or, like, cake soap. And I'm like, no. I heard, I used to listen to a lot of Jamaican music, and Vibes Cartel was talking about cake soap back then. And I was like, what is that? And then, like, I started doing my own research and stuff, and I started realizing it's what makes people pink, like light skin. I was like, nah, I don't think I would ever have to go to the extent to do that. But, like, I just knew I had to leave that circle I was in order to, like, accept myself and accept who I am. But it took a long time to accept it. My hair, I remember I used to, there was these girls that had, like, this gel that would bleach your hair. It was, like, lemon or something. They'll put it in their hair and stand in the sun, and they'll turn their hair, like, gold.
Try it.
And they were like, you should try it. And I'm like, no. And, like, I wanted to try it when I was younger because I was like, I want my hair to be golden and, like, long and stuff. But, nah. It was a lot. I had to do it a lot in order to accept and learn how to take care of my hair and my body.
Yeah. I think your crown is your first fundamental understanding of your identity. Like, it starts here down. So in every facet of the way. And I had to do a lot of work around, like, even recently too, because I cut off, like, a bunch of my hair, and, like, my sister's just like, you look crazy. And I'm just like, and she's, like, into wigs and weaves and everything, so I don't expect her to understand, but I'm like, yeah, it's my decision. But I think growing up, I had braids up until I was 13, and then my mom was like, all right, you need a perm. I'm not going to keep braiding your hair anymore. Like, I'm tired. Like, it's just going to make it easier, manageable, quick. So washing sets every Saturday, every single Saturday for, like, 5 years. And then weave. It was washing sets actually for, like, 3 years. And then I was wearing weave for, like, another 3. Very interesting reactions, all 3 of them. Getting braids, getting washing sets, and then getting weaves. Because I think in high school, I graduated high school, like, 4 years ago. So I think during that time, like, weaves were such a big thing. And everyone was, like, wanting to have the 20-inch Brazilian. And, like, everybody, and it's, like, every color, every creed. That was, like, its own world, which is, like, very much still there. I'm just not in it, but it's, like, its own world. And, like, I can always see white people watching weave videos. It's the weirdest thing. They love watching weave sew-ins. Like, it's so crazy.
I don't know why that's a thing, but do your thing.
Yo,
I don't understand
it,
but
thing.
Okay.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
No, but they do it.
Yes.
And they don't do it well, but they do it.
They do it. They just call it clip-ins. Clip-ins or, like, extensions. But it's like, you wearing a weave. Relax. But word. And then I remember, like, me, you know, it was at a time I was very much, like, being very, like, finding my own information on my Black identity and becoming more aware of who I was as a Black woman. And I was surrounding myself with, like, the right people at the time, like, who were just, like, cut off your hair, like, all of it, like, shave, like, start from scratch, like, you'll feel new. So I was around a lot of people who were very, like, encouraging of that. But, you know, I think it is such a fundamental part of how I've shaped my own self-perception, you know, and I think a lot of women, like, I see it all the time where they're just like, it's beyond natural now. People just straight up cutting off all their hair, and, like, you know, I love that new resilience of coming and transforming your identity in a physical way, you know, a physical manifestation of exactly how you know, what you believe and what you see in your head and, like, all the things you're going through, because this is energy, you know what I mean? Like, you're collecting a lot. So, you know, I feel like a lot of that weight is often, like, distributed onto us in ways that, like, we take in and, like, want to put down. Like, it's literally like, but it's like, when I know and when I can do, then it's like free for all, you know. I'm loud and proud.
It's crazy how, like, laborious our relationship, Black woman's relationship with hair is. My mom started perming my hair since I was 8 years old. Partially because I wanted it so bad. Like, I was tired of being called ugly, of being called, like, pajón, la negrita, you know? And so I finally got it, and then I came to the US, and I saw myself forced to go natural, not because I wanted, but because I didn't have the $20 to go to the salon every week. Like, we just got here, you know, we were struggling. And then after a while, I started still coming to the Dominican salon, only to get the blowouts.
Yeah.
And I had to stop because I realized they were putting some stuff in my hair. Also, very conflicting because that was the only space where I could actually feel Dominican. But it's been a long journey. Recently, I actually just cut my hair yesterday. I have some. I'm gonna put it under a rock. So it's a little superstition for you.
Nice.
But
It's
now,
honestly all good.
yeah. Now I'm thinking, like, for me, I cut it because I'm like, how pro-black is this for me? Because I'm spending a lot of money on hair products. It takes me hours a week to get my hair done. So is this labor that I'm putting in actually worth it for me?
Right.
So, you know, I'm always, aesthetic comes second for me, because I always think, like, how much labor am I putting into this? Like, how much am I getting out of it?
But that's the thing too that I think with, like, for me it was a little different because I was like raised natural, but when I look at like the natural hair movement, it's still very much about like having your hair look a certain kind of way. Like your curls have to look a certain way. Like your fro has to be shaped, you know what I mean? Like it seems like it's less about like embracing like your blackness and like trying to like denounce things that were used to like make us look other than ourselves, and it seems to be more about like you can be natural, but your natural hair has to look you know, neat, like, and then if you don't have like curlier hair, it has to like, you gotta like twist out. It's like, and it's like it shouldn't be like that much labor to take hair. Like I genuinely believe, and also because I was just like raised natural, like, it's really not, you don't have to put that much time to like,
of course,
your hair just has to be moisturized, bro. It's like literally like black hair just has to be moisturized. You don't have to do like, people be like, yeah, like I spend like close to $100 on like a shit ton of products, and I'm like, for what? Like that defeats the whole purpose like of you trying to go natural, because you want to now spend like $100 and you have like 2 shelves in your bathroom cabinet full of products, and it's like, bro, your hair just needs to be moisturized.
Shea butter, coconut.
That's it.
That's
it. And put a satin scarf on at night so it doesn't dry up. But it's like it's not that. It's not that difficult.
Like I was talking to one of my friends about that too. Like all she uses is African black soap or castor oil. I mean castor soap. Castile soap. Then castor oil. And shea butter. 3 ingredients the whole time. Her fro is here. Like, that's it. So it's just like, I don't understand. I get like that whole, that's why I'm like, okay, the whole marketing of like, it all ties into each other. Afrolatinidad, like natural hair, like blah, blah, blah. Like, we gotta realize, Miss Jessie's, like, you know, you don't need to be spending. I don't even
$20 a bottle.
What? I don't even look.
A bottle. My older brother uses it on my nephew's fro. And his afro is so beautiful, but I'm just like, I look at my brother like, Mike, like, that's a lot of
even
money.
shea moisture.
I'm like, bro, my nephew is gonna be 3. I mean, his fro is popping, but you don't need to spend that much money on
a baby's
baby.
Yeah,
Oh no, his hair smells amazing, and his curls are so cute. But I'm just like, that's a lot of money
That
for
is a lot of money. You just whip it yourself.
I mean, I make my own. I'm trying to learn how to make. Well, I make my own co-wash from using aloe vera. So like that's relatively like easy, but it's like just the ability to like not even know that, like making your own stuff, that intimate experience. Because for me, my hair and my skin is an intimate experience. That's my self-care and my self-care. So it's like aesthetics is number 2, but like maintenance is always number 1. So it's like maintaining and like knowing and like, okay, like I can actually smell and like see the growth, and like my hair is itching for reasons that I know of, you know? Like actually know what I put in my skin and on my body, and not the 30 other ingredients, you know, or these language things that I have to look up, or like no marketing scheme and technique. My aloe is $1. I make African black soap. I liquefy it for $4. Like shea butter, I melt it for $3. You know, you don't have to spend X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You know, make that an experience, not something you dread and want to do quick and like, you know,
and stress yourself out about it.
I love melting my shea butter.
yes, same.
This is the one thing that I wish lived in the art is having the ability to know how to care for your own hair. And I think that comes from the top. That's very institutionally set in place. Is like, oh, we're gonna like make the world in such a way that you really don't know how to take care of your own body.
Yeah.
And I mean, to this day, I'm like, damn, I don't know how to braid my own hair. I don't know how to do this. I don't know, because I never, you know, it was until recently that I actually like knew exactly what my hair looked like. So, you know, that's, I also wanted to talk about facial whitening. Sorry guys, I'm a snitch on y'all, but Dominicans that live in the island, a lot of people actually do whiten their face, and people don't talk about it, but people do secretly, and I was a victim of that. I whitened my face when I was like 11, 12, and I remember visiting my grandma, and she looked at me and she was like, wow, you look clean. And then she took her words back and she's like, you look white. Because it definitely like eaten the melanin on my face back then, that, you know, and that's how she interpreted it. But it's a product that usually Haitian people produce, and they sell it at the border, but it's Dominicans that consume it.
That's really interesting. What was that like after?
It actually was hell because it burned a lot. I only used it, let's say 5 times, but it was so strong that it definitely burned my skin.
Did it leave any like long-term things? Or?
I wouldn't say. I'm pretty sure if I went back to the Caribbean, I would probably get my tan back. But for that time period, it definitely damaged my skin. And it definitely, I mean, I had a lot of discoloration. If you'd seen photos back then, like, the difference between my torso and my face was definitely different.
How did your skin regenerate itself? Like, is this your natural color again?
Yes.
Okay. How long did that take?
Now, I would guess, because I'm in the United States, I don't get so much sun exposure. I'm definitely lighter, but I've become, I would say, a little bit obsessive about skincare. I only use like food grade stuff. I make, you know, I think it's back to its normal state now. It was so abrasive, and it's just saddens me that I know all my cousins are low key using that, and they don't tell nobody.
It's just really upsetting because like I didn't know that was something that like, you know, burned, but I guess it kind of makes sense if you're using it to like lighten your skin, but just to think that like these things are like so ingrained in us that we do so much to like not be who we naturally are, and that we'll go through like such great lengths and like, you know, and end up like harming ourselves to look other. Like that's like I'd never met anyone personally had used that before. So just listening to you say it, like that's like a really
that you know of.
Intense. Yeah, that I know of. Yeah, that's just like a really intense experience. Yeah, but thank you for sharing that though, because that's
thank you for listening. I mean, it's definitely not easy to talk about it, but you know, you learn that it's also like a phase in your journey, and that teaches you.
Yeah. So like I feel like we've touched on a lot of like different things, even things that like I brought up in the questions we kind of brought up, but like I did want to get into like the media question, because I know you said you had brought up looking up to like J-Lo and Shakira as a child. So like how is like programming through media like influence your understanding of Blackness, or like but within the Latin community? Because, you know, I know J-Lo and Shakira, but those were like the only two who were like Latin women who were like, you know, really prominent and popular as a kid.
Yeah, definitely. As a kid, like, it was either J-Lo, Shakira, that's pretty much it. That's all I really remember looking up to at some point and knowing about their life and everything, and like their long blonde hair and stuff. But I mentioned Celia Cruz because when I was younger, I heard a song from Celia, and it was like La Negra tiene tumbao, and I'm like,
I know that one.
I'm negra, I got a swag. Like that's my anthem forever. Like that song, listening to Celia made me realize like, yo, whatever everyone is saying does not matter because I have somebody to relate to right now, and this is the only person that's actually speaking out on it. And yeah, like the media, like Telemundo, Univision, all the things I grew up watching, it was mainly like light-skinned women with beautiful bodies, long hair, and as a little girl you're watching this and it's like, can I start over? Like, what happened? Why am I not like this? Or like, where did we go wrong? Like, did I grow up in the wrong area? Like, what's happening? Why do I not look like these people that I see constantly every day on TV? And like, the media shows you that, and then at a young age it makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel like you need to alter yourself with doing things like getting your hair straightened and even like lightening, anything to make yourself look like that role that they show you. And yeah, like Celia was someone that I still look up to this day because it's like, power to you, girl. Like, yes, like I could walk down the street and know that I'm gonna be looked at because I look good, because I got my swag and I got confidence within myself. Like, definitely.
I think for me it was I think similar vein, but now like I've been doing like research and looking into different like politicians, musicians, like authors, all of this. A lot of them do come from the Caribbean. They're from a lot of Latin speaking countries, or just Malcolm X's mother was Grenadian. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us have roots elsewhere. But you know, of course, and you know, Stokely Carmichael even being Trinidadian, like it's so many of us who come from you know, within the diaspora. But I think once you come to this country, it kind of does force you to pick sides in certain ways. You know, if I'm this kind of Spanish person and I only see Shakira and J-Lo and I didn't grow up in the Bronx and didn't speak Spanish and wasn't like the new girl on the block, then it's like I fit in more with the black kids. Yeah. You know, and I know a lot of Spanish people who like fit in with the black kids. And it's like our experiences are very much the same. We eat some of the similar things. But if I were to come to your house, your parents may or may not like me, depending on how exposed they are. Really depends. Then on the other side, like you have those Spanish people who only see those representations and then do everything to like uphold that and want to be that and see that and then fit into this, like, for lack of a better term, like wider westernized way that they want to, you know, attain to. So I think like the media only having like very limited facets and representations, you know, with no explanation and really no context, it breeds a lot of, you know, discontent, you know, and this upholding of this supremacist system that is, you know, being, you know, I think it's being dismantled, but, you know, in some ways it's just changing shape and name, but it's very much still the same outline. So I feel like, you know, if we just think a little bit more and just like, see beyond what we're being presented, then, you know, shit changes.
Representation in Dominican media is overwhelmingly white. I mean, you turn on any channel and it's always two white women with hair up to here with big butts. In every TV show, in advertisement, it's always white people. Even though it's crazy because we are the majority. You could say the majority is usually light skin, but they're still black. So if you want to be homogeneous, why not at least like present like a light skin? Like, why do you have to go all the way to the top and like represent white people like this when none of us look like this? And it's crazy to me how nobody notices. Nobody notices. And I think recently now it's changing. I haven't been back since I left 7 years ago, and my friend tells me that it's changing because the Afro hair movement is going mainstream.
Oh, nice.
is going mainstream, so it's gonna take a while, but it's overwhelmingly white and respectable, and it tries to fulfill all the beauty standards that are just out there to, you know, oppress Black people. But I'm really glad that you mentioned Celia Cruz, because she was such an important figure in my childhood. Celia Cruz, that video, La Negra Tiene Tumbao, and Chica da Silva, those were the only two Black women I saw ever in Dominican TV. And to me, that was like,
It was like, what?
wow. I remember watching TV once so innocently. I was like 7 with my dad, and I was jumping on the bed, and we were watching this advertisement, and it was like some white people. And I remember telling him, like, Dad, I want to be white. And he grabbed me. He's like, be proud of who you are, da da da. I was like, wow. And then that was the only time ever that somebody close to me told me, like, be proud of being Black. And that never left me. And that's how I really, you know.
Like, my dad's side of the family is very Jamaican because they're actually from there. So why would I identify as Cuban? You know what I mean? Like, it has no cultural relevance in my life. Right. It's not actually a part of my identity. It's in my ancestry, but it's not a part of my identity. So it's just interesting seeing people, like, want to pick apart their lineage for, like, convenience, or because they want to take up space in places that they have no right taking up space in. So you're saying, well, oh, but my like 10th grade grandfather was this so-and-so. But it's like, but that has no influence on who you are today. So why are you trying to take up space in a place that you don't actually belong?
Right.
You should just, like, listen and, like, ask questions, but not try to. And I see that a lot with, like, just people just, like, wanting to adopt identities for the sake of doing it, and for the sake of wanting to be a part of a community that they're actually, like, they don't really belong in, and that's okay. You have a community, it's just not that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think the way identities are the way identities aren't understood now, it's like, ooh, this is a point, this is another point. Like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. But frankly, I stopped believing in the term Afrolatinidad because Amara La Negra, which I really appreciate her presence because she is so Dominican. She is so Dominican, and you know, she's like a Black woman. She doesn't have to. I mean, aesthetically, like, I love how she presents herself. The only thing is that I have a little issue with the performativity, you know.
Oh my God.
I mean, Amara La Negra is one case that I'm willing to put up with because she's actually Black.
Yeah.
But I've seen 2 people that are not famous, that are actually Black Dominicans, calling themselves Afro-Latinos. The rest, I don't see it. So I don't believe in the term. I just say I'm Black from so and so. I'm Black from the Dominican Republic. But I don't believe in the term because it's not serving the people that it was created for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna look for another way to connect with Black people from DR, another buzzword, if you know I'm allowed to say that. Because Afrolatinidad, for me, that's not where it's at anymore. It's been too corrupted already.
I feel you on that. Like, I do. Like, that's really true.
Yeah.
Like, now that you're bringing the perspective up, I'm like, that's very true. Like, what you said about it, just now people are putting themselves into it, but they're putting everyone else that's actually Black behind.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, that's really what's happening right now. Like, it's being seen, and a lot of people are not getting their credit where it's due, or even being safe opening up to that anymore.
Right. It's also feels like the conversation is always so one-dimensional, like class never gets addressed, or colorism, or institutional education. Like don't you, like, okay, if you're light skinned and you have 2B type of hair, okay, I mean, I'm not telling you not to talk about this, but if you are, then address how you have enough resources and you're privileged enough to go back every 2 years. Everyone in your family is like college educated. You probably have a Haitian maid in your house. Like, talk about these things, because I mean, you're probably, I mean, what are you doing then? You know,
live your truth. Speaking your truth, you know, and that's the thing that I think is like kind of dangerous about a lot of these, like, oh, me too, like, I was this too, I was bullied too, I was this too, and like, yes, of course, but it's also like, but what now? You know, who are you really? How's that shaped you? Not just like the narrative that you're adopting. I think there's too many narratives being adopted that people actually believe is true, because it's what's being told and repeated so much without actual critical thought and introspection.
I'm afraid that identity has become too formulaic in this era. It's like, oh, I need to fulfill like this. If these are my circumstances, then this is the formula that I need to fulfill. And it's not like that. Everyone has their own, even Black people between themselves, they're individuals after all. So they have their own personalized journey, and it's fine if it's different. Just, you know, be aware of it and don't leave it out of the story.
Exactly.
I just want to say thank you guys for like sharing your stories, and I did want to say though, is there like one thing that you'd want to say to anyone watching this, or anything that you just need to like, I need to get this off, I'm gonna say it, that you just want to end this with?
You just gotta continue living and learning, like literally living and learning and breathing every day, and be grateful for breathing every day.
Listen to yourself, and thank you for bringing it up. Take a time, even if it's like 2 minutes a day, take a time to really consciously breathe, because that, I mean, it won't put a dime in your pocket, but it really makes you think. And, you know, I just want people to take it day by day. You know, don't jeopardize your mental health and your stability for being engaged politically too much, because if you are not right, if you are not mentally stable, then you cannot possibly be functional and, you know, be of use in the bigger community. So, you know, just take care of your mental health, and, you know, stay hydrated, breathe, drink your water.
Word up. Reflect with your reflections. I think that's the biggest thing. Sit, listen, be still, take time, listen, you know, let go of ego so much so you can actually learn to grow. You know, if we are, source is one and we're all variations of source, that means we're all each other. So I think that it's really important to just reflect with your reflections. You know, chill out.
I like that.
For having us.
Yeah, of course. I'm really happy that you guys came, and I just wanted to say thank you. So I'll give like so this will be like the first panel, I don't know, and we'll keep going within the future. Soul Rebel panel. I want to say thank you to the space, to Jennifer, who let us use Sisters Uptown Bookstore. So if you're ever like in Harlem or coming from the Bronx, whatever, come to Sisters Uptown. It's the only Black-owned bookstore in Manhattan, and they're just currently celebrating their 19th year, which I think is great. Yeah, they've been here for a long time. I also want to say thank you to Ricky for being the videographer.